And so the part of the program that we're going to do is we're going to recite some Quran, and then we're going to have a short word, and then make some supplication, and then we can have the food. We're going to recite Surah Al-Mulk. So whoever can recite it, then they recite it, and they all together. And so for the extensions, we're going to do Maddul Muttasil 4 harakat, and Maddul Munfasil 4 harakat as well. So correct your intentions, and then we're going to ask Allah to grant a reward similar to the reward of the recitation to the soul of our dear deceased. We'll start with al-isti'adha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير. ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير. وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير. إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير. وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير. إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور. ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير. هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور. أأمنتم من في السماء أن يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نذير ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم إن أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه أهدى أمن يمشي سويا على صراط مستقيم قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون قل هو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين الله رب العالمين. O Allah, we ask you to grant a similar reward of what was accepted of our recitation to the soul of our dear deceased Lourdes Rengifo and to the rest of the deceased Muslims, and also recite al-Fatiha for them. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. اللهم أوصل مثل ما تقبل منا من قراءة سورة الملك والفاتحة إلى روح المرحومة أنا لوردس رengifo وإلى سائر أموات المسلمين. Todas las alabanzas pertenecen a Allah. Le damos gracias a Dios por todas las bendiciones que nos ha otorgado sin que Él sea obligado. Y le pedimos a Dios que eleve el nivel y el rango a nuestro profeta Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam y que proteja su nación. Yo testifico que nadie merece ser adorado excepto Dios el único que existe sin principio, el único que merece ser adorado, el que no se parece a ninguna de las creaciones y ninguna de las creaciones se parecen a Él. No tiene madre, ni padre, ni hijo, ni hija, ni hermano, ni hermana. Él existe sin tiempo y sin lugar porque Él es el creador del tiempo y del lugar. Cualquier cosa que te imagines en la mente no es Dios, y cualquiera que le atribuye un atributo de las creaciones a Dios está fuera del Islam. Y yo testifico que Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, el hijo de Abdullah, el hijo de Abdul Muttalib, de la tribu de Quraysh, es la mejor creación de Dios y el último profeta y mensajero enviado a todo el planeta. So, alhamdulillah, like we mention always, we praise God and we thank God for everything because He is the true owner of everything and He gives us uncountable endowments. So the air that we breathe, the bodies that we have, our eyesight, the abilities of our bodily functions, walking, sleeping, having a home, having a family, money, material possessions, all of those things are given to us by the Creator of the universe, and He is not obligated to give anything. So we are grateful and thankful for those blessings. And so if one of those blessings or one of those endowments or one of those things that we had that were given to us, if that thing leaves, or if that thing gets destroyed, or if that thing ends, or if that thing finishes, still we remain grateful and still we thank God for everything because He is the true owner of everything. So it is an essential part of our creed, having that optimism, having that positive outlook, having that resilience, having that looking forward, and knowing and being grateful that the Creator of the universe, that He has mercy upon us. In this world, we all get mercy. In this world, in this life, we all have those moments of happiness. We all have those moments of comfort. We all have those moments of pleasure. And also in this life, we have moments of sadness. We have moments of difficulty. We have moments of hardship. We have moments of stress. And so these ups and downs through this life, how do we navigate? We navigate through what we know, through what has been revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and by using our minds, which is another endowment given to us by God. Because with the mind, we can observe the world around us. We can see the world around us. We can see our own situations and how we change and our weakness, and we can make a deduction from that. So it is something that is confirmed in Islam. This saying in Arabic, وَكَفَى بِالْمَوْتِ وَاعِظًا. And this is something that is approved for us, and it's mentioned, or something that a concept that is constantly repeated in the Quran is the rhetorical question and the rhetorical observance of our lives, of our journey. So in the Quran it's mentioned, even from the moment that the human being is in the womb. And this is one of the proofs that the Quran is a miracle, that it was not authored by man, that it was not written by any man or any angel. Rather, it was revelation from the Creator of the universe. The fact that the human being the stages of development of the human being inside of the womb. So many verses in the Quran, they directly talk about when the human being is still inside of his mother's womb and how he develops through the different stages. That information was only discovered by so-called modern science recently. When they use machines and they use technology, they found out that first the human being is a mixture of liquid, and then he turns into a blood clot, and then he turns into a piece of flesh, and this is all through a specified period of time. 40 days, 40 days, 40 days. And so this is mentioned in the Quran. And why is that mentioned in the Quran? It is an appeal to the mind of the human being, so that the human being that uses his mind, he can know and understand the Creator who created me is the one who made me from this beginning, from being a mixture of liquid, then turning into a blood clot, then turning into a piece of flesh, growing, developing, until it's time to be born, and then coming out into the world knowing nothing. Coming into the world helpless. Coming into the world in a situation of weakness. This is mentioned in the Quran, that the human being comes out of the womb weak and not knowing anything. And this is the beginning. And then the human being goes through the challenges of life, from being wrapped tightly as soon as they come out, wrapped tightly in the blanket and they feel the cold world, from having to learn, or I guess through instinct, having to suckle, like when the mother puts the baby so that the baby can feed. The baby needs that, or else he's going to die, so he has to latch on. And so that itself is a challenge too. But then getting past that, and then being in need of someone to clean them and to feed them, and to, if they need something, what do? They cry. They can't talk. And then eventually they learn how to use their hands and their legs, and they crawl, and then they walk. And then now they can, and they start to talk. And this is still the beginning. Challenge after challenge after challenge, obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. And then going to school. And this journey is mentioned in the Quran. And in general, in brief, in general, it's mentioned in the Quran. And then the scholars, they explained it in detail. And then the human being becomes school age, and they go to school, more challenges. Dealing with teachers, dealing with students, having to do homework, being told to sit down, being told to be quiet, being told to listen, being told to follow the rules. When the kid, all they want to do is play. They just want to play. But they have to sit, they have to learn. They have to learn the alphabet, they have to learn the numbers. Because if they don't learn the numbers, what's going to happen? They're never going to learn the numbers. If they never learn the words, and they don't learn how to write, they don't learn how to read, they're never going to know. They're going to stay ignorant. So that's another challenge. Then, let's skip past now into becoming an adult. Then it's finding a job, making money, paying the bills, paying the mortgage, paying the car note, buying groceries, cooking food. And this is like before the adult gets married and before they have kids. So that's another obstacle. Then another challenge. Then after that, then maybe that person, they find another person. and they get married, which is a challenge. That's also an obstacle and a challenge. And then having children, and then taking care of children, and now but now what's happening now, it's not the same as before. The youth, the energy, the strength is starting to go down. Starting to go down. The hair used to be a lot of hair. Now it's slowly going back. The hairline is receding. The color used to be black, strong. Now it's turning white. You look in the mirror, you see. You can change the color, you can dye it, you can change the color, but you know. And your kids are getting older, and those challenges, those obstacles, but then now they're gone. They're living their lives. Now you're alone. You're getting older. You're getting slower. You can't see. You see, when you look at your phone like that, that means time is running out. When you go like that to look at your phone, yeah, or you can have those magnifying glasses from CVS, so you can see the phone. Or on the iPhone, I don't know about Android, but on the iPhone you can put the letters really big, so it only shows like 3 letters on your screen when you try to look at a message. And then slowly you start to slow down and go slower. That's if you make it that far, by the way, if you make it that far. But eventually, no matter how many days pass for you, it's going to stop one day. That beating heart that has been going since you were in the womb, one day is going to do the last final. That inhale and exhale that you breathe since you came out of your mother's womb, one day it's going to go in, but you're not going to exhale. Or one day you're going to exhale, but you're not going to inhale. It's going to be the last moment. And that is something that we don't know when it will be. So that's the meaning of that statement. وَكَفَى بِالْمَوْتِ وَاعِظًا, which means that death is enough of a reminder. A reminder of what? That there's something that you have to do here. There's a reason why you're existing. There's a purpose behind this cycle. It's not for nothing. It's not for just going through the motions and going through this cycle of life for no reason, for no wisdom. That's what that statement in Arabic, it means that this is a reminder, this is a sign, this is something for the human to understand and to look, not just with the eye of the head, but with the mind's eye. To look, like to observe, to understand. And so that journey from beginning to end, and from when you are inside your mother's womb to coming out, to growing up, to getting old, to dying, that is the temporary life. That's the answer to the question of what is the purpose. The purpose is to know that this is a temporary one. This is the temporary life. And that after death is the everlasting life. So there's something that you have to do before you leave this world. And that one thing, that number one thing, is to believe in God and His messenger. That's the number one thing. There's more stuff that you have to do. Like you have to pray, you have to fast, you have to pay zakat, you have to go to the pilgrimage, Hajj, you have to avoid certain things. That's included. But the main number one thing is to have that correct belief. Yani, that means to worship the Creator only. To worship the Creator only and to follow the prophets. That's the number one thing. That's the main thing. Why? Because that is the most important and the biggest obligation. How do we know? We know that because the prophets, they told us. How do we know what they said if we weren't alive during their time? Because it has been transmitted through mass witness transmission. What does that mean, mass witness transmission? It means that a large group of people, they witnessed that, they experienced that, and they passed it on. And it's something that the number of people is so large that normally it's impossible that they conspire to lie. For example, right now, let's assume that no one here has been to China, right? No one has physically been there. But all of us here, we believe 100% that China exists. Why is that? Because there's been a large number of people that have confirmed for us that China exists, and that number is large to the point that we say it's impossible that they would get together to tell the same lie. Because it's hard, even for two people, to agree on the story, to tell someone a lie. It's hard. It's doable, but it's hard. And as the number grows, it becomes harder. But when the number goes 10 and up, it's impossible. It's impossible for these people to conspire to lie. Normally, yeah. Normally. So what does that tell us? Not only that, just the mass witness transmission, but also our mind. Our mind says this world has a beginning, just like we do. Because we're part of this world, and we have a beginning. And so this world is made up of things that have a beginning. So we know the world has a beginning like us. The world wasn't always here. It had to start. And just like we didn't give ourselves our start, we know the world didn't give itself its beginning. And so we know that the world has a creator. And we know that the creator, that creator, he is the only one without a beginning. Because if he had a beginning, then he would be a creation like us. He would need someone to make him exist like us. And we know that that is impossible, mentally impossible. Why? Because if something is nothing, if something is non-existent, it cannot pre-exist to make itself exist. So this is using the mind. So we were given the mind so we can use it to make a deduction. To use it to say, I didn't used to exist. I didn't make myself exist. So that means I was created. And the one who created me, he's not like me. Because if he was like me, then he would need someone to create him. If he was like me, he would need someone to make him exist, and so he wouldn't be the creator. So we know that the creator exists, and we know that he's not like us. And we know also that he sent thousands of prophets to this earth to teach the people the things that they cannot learn just using their mind. So for example, just now we did that exercise with the mind. I was non-existent and then I began to exist, so that means I'm created. That means I need someone to create me. This is, with the mind, an exercise of the mind. You can use your mind for that. But you cannot use your mind to figure out, for example, morals. What is good versus what is bad? What is praised versus what is dispraised? What is right versus what is wrong? That, you cannot figure it out just using your mind, because everyone has a different preference, everyone has a different way, everyone has a different opinion. Some people, like coffee, some people like tea, some people like the hot weather, some people like the cold weather. Right? Some people want the AC on at least 75. At least 75 is hot. But some people, they don't want the AC on. Some people, if the AC is on 75, they say it's too cold. And they put it up to 78 in South Florida. It's like an oven inside of the house. But it's if you put on 75, then someone might say it turns into the North Pole for them. Some people, the AC has to be like 69 for it to be comfortable. So two different things. How can which one is correct, which one's incorrect? You cannot know that using the mind. It has to be revealed. That's why the prophets were sent. To show us the way. This is the right way. This is the right path. This is the straight path. This is what you can eat. This is what you can't eat. This is what you can say. This is what you can't say. This is what you can wear. This is what you cannot wear. This is what you can do. This is what you cannot do. Because if people get together and try to decide that, what is it going to turn into? It's going to turn into the strong, they step on the weak. It's going to be the rich exploit the poor. It's going to be this color takes over that color. It's going to be this gender goes and does injustice to that gender. It's going to be whatever you see now in the secular system. So how do we know what is just, what is justice, what is injustice? We can't know from ourselves. This is why we need the prophets. So the Muslim, he submits to that. He knows that God exists. He knows that God is not like us. He knows God is not a human. He knows God is not a statue. He knows God is not a big giant in the sky sitting on the throne, because whatever is a giant in the sky is a creation, because the sky has a beginning and God doesn't have a beginning. And we know that the prophets, they're perfect men. They never lied. They never did anything enormous sin. They didn't do anything that shows a low character. They didn't do anything that breaks the trust, because they were sent to teach the people. So the greatest victory is, the greatest win is to die as a Muslim. And this is what helps us, especially on these types of occasions, what helps us to look forward. Because we're here gathered for our dear deceased Ana Lourdes Rengifo, rahimahullah. So at least she had that correct creed, and so we have the hope to meet again in paradise. En breve nosotros decimos que la vida y la muerte son indicaciones, señales, pruebas para la persona que usa su mente, que usa su inteligencia y su razonamiento para ver y saber que hay un propósito por estar en esta vida. Hay un objetivo. No es por nada, no es sin razón ni sin sabiduría. Es algo que nos hace pensar en nuestra realidad. Sea lo que sea nuestra realidad o nuestro principio, hasta nuestro fin, todo es algo para que nosotros podamos saber qué es lo más importante, el propósito de nuestra vida. Y que esta vida es temporaria. Eso significa que no es todo lo que hay. No fuimos creados solamente para comer y beber y dormir y reproducir, no es solamente por eso. Por eso sería una vida vacía. Una vida vacía y triste. Por eso muchas personas que no son guiadas, no tienen ese dote o esa bendición de ser guiados, cometen suicidio o usan drogas o son alcohólicos o encuentran algo para escapar esa realidad. Pero cuando ponen la cabeza en la almohada, esa realidad no se puede escapar. Por eso esas industrias como el entretenimiento y las cosas que tienen que ver con el gozo son tan grandes, porque muchos seres humanos quieren ese escape, pero un día va a entrar el aliento de la persona y no va a salir, el respiro va a entrar pero no va a salir, el corazón va a palpitar por un momento final, y después todo lo que esa persona tenía en esta vida, todas sus esperanzas se acabaron. Y la persona que va a ser ganador es la persona que se preparó para ese momento. Eso es el propósito. Prepararse para la vida del más allá. La vida del más allá que no tiene fin. In brief, I wanted to say also about the journey of the afterlife, because that's something that we can't know without revelation. So we believe because the Prophet ﷺ informed us what happens after we die. So we have the soul comes out, and then if it was a pious Muslim, the soul comes out, and then the angels, they take that soul and they dress it in a fabric from paradise. The angels of mercy, they take the soul up to beyond the seven heavens to a place called Illiyun, which is a place where his name is written down, that he's going to be in paradise. And as he's going up through the skies, the angels, they say, who is this lovely soul? Because it's going to be like a beautiful smell coming out. And the angels that are carrying, they say, this is so-and-so, the son of so-and-so. So-and-so, the daughter of so-and-so. And so his name will be known to the angels as is going through the heavens. Then they get to that place, his name is written in the book of the people of paradise. And then they bring the soul back down. And the soul follows the body that is being carried to the grave. And the Muslim, he says, take me forward, because he knows what's waiting for him when he goes into the grave. Now that concept, if you think about it, that hole in the ground, me for example, I'm claustrophobic, I can't be in small spaces. So imagine 6 feet deep in that closed space, it's not going to be comfortable for the ones who don't have mercy. For the Muslim, for the pious Muslim, when he goes inside, the grave is expanded. It's made to be bigger. And there's light that will be illuminating inside of the grave. And there's going to be the smell of paradise. And that Muslim, when he's buried, his soul goes inside of his body again, and he's fully conscious. And he's going to be in peace, and he's not going to be afraid. He's not going to be in the dark, and he's not going to suffer. That's for the moment of rest that they will get. So for us, the Muslim, we journey through this life, and we do our best to obey God, and we keep our belief, because we know that when that inevitable moment, when death comes, we know what's waiting for us on the other side. And so we ask Allah, we ask God, the creator of the universe, to end our lives on Islam and to make our final words, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadun Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Barakallahu feekum. Are there any questions about anything that we mentioned?